Some performers age like fine wine, stepping onto the stage with all the fire and presence that made them legends. Others push past the point where the music ends and something else begins entirely, something harder to watch than it is to admire. Tonight, we are counting down 10 aging frontmen whose concert-going days may have run their course, for reasons ranging from devastating health battles to voices that have drifted too far from what once made them extraordinary. If this kind of honest, nostalgic conversation about the music that shaped your life interests you, consider subscribing so you never miss a video like this one. Number 10. Ozzy Osbourne. By the time Ozzy revealed his Parkinson's disease diagnosis to the world in early 2020, the news landed like a thunderclap over the hard rock community. He had already undergone multiple serious spine surgeries following a quad bike accident years earlier, leaving him with nerve damage that affected his movement and stability. His longtime wife and manager Sharon confirmed publicly that the tremors and the neurological progression made touring, in the traditional sense, medically impossible. Ozzy himself was heartbreakingly candid about it. His final public performances have been brief, ceremonial appearances rather than full headline sets, and even those carried visible physical strain. He appeared at the Commonwealth Games closing ceremony in Birmingham in August 2022, seated on a throne-like chair, singing Paranoid to a global television audience of millions, a moment that was equal parts triumphant and gutting for anyone who remembered him stalking stages in his Black Sabbath prime. He has spoken openly about the grief of losing the stage, a place that defined him for more than 5 decades. The Crown Prince of Darkness deserves a standing ovation, and then a very long rest. Number 9. Steven Tyler. Aerosmith announced their farewell tour called Peace Out with all the grandeur the band deserved. Then, before the tour could fully deliver on its promise, Steven Tyler suffered a serious vocal cord injury during rehearsals that forced the entire run to be canceled. Medical intervention followed, including a procedure requiring extended recovery time that put the timeline into deep uncertainty. The raw truth is this: Tyler's voice had already been showing the effects of decades of use, misuse, and hard living long before the injury arrived. The upper register that defined songs like Dream On and Crazy had narrowed considerably over the years. His bandmates in Aerosmith spoke with visible sadness about the situation. Whether the farewell tour ever happens remains unclear, but his body has been sending a message his career has found difficult to accept. Number 8. Brian Johnson. In the spring of 2016, AC/DC was deep into their Rock or Bust World Tour when Brian Johnson received a stark warning from doctors. Continue performing at the decibel levels of a major rock concert, they told him, and he would risk total permanent hearing loss. He had no real choice. He stepped away mid-tour, and Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses finished the remaining dates in his place, a surreal chapter in rock history. Johnson did eventually return to AC/DC, using in-ear monitoring technology developed to protect what hearing remained. The comeback was genuine and emotional, but the underlying reality has not changed. He is performing in his mid-70s with a documented and medically significant hearing impairment, and every subsequent tour carries that same shadow. The voice is still recognizable. The risk is still very real. Number 7. Axl Rose. Few vocal transformations in rock history have been as dramatic or as discussed as Axl Rose's. In his prime with Guns N' Roses in the late 1980s and early 90s, his 5-octave range was the stuff of genuine legend, a voice capable of silk and gravel in the same breath. The reunion with Slash and Duff McKagan brought enormous commercial success and packed stadiums around the world. But the voice audiences heard on those reunion stages was not the voice that recorded Welcome to the Jungle. The upper registers are largely gone. The delivery has shifted into a thicker, lower gear that serves some songs better than others, and not particularly well on the ones fans paid to hear. Axl's stage presence remains magnetic. His commitment to performing is undeniable. The gap between expectation and reality, though, has become its own conversation at every tour stop.
Got a smile and it seems to me
Number 6. Roger Daltrey. Roger Daltrey has been remarkably honest about the challenges that come with fronting The Who in his late 70s. He has spoken publicly about severe vocal problems triggered by allergic reactions and touring conditions, including incidents where he has lost significant portions of his range mid-show. There have been nights where his voice recovered. There have been others where it clearly did not. Beyond the voice, Daltrey has also dealt with the emotional and physical toll of performing music that was built for a young man's fury. Baba O'Reilly and Won't Get Fooled Again demand everything a singer has. Watching Daltrey reach for those moments with a voice that has weathered 8 decades of living is both moving and sobering at once. Pete Townshend, for his part, has signaled repeatedly that The Who's touring life is winding down, with the band's 2023 and 2024 orchestral touring runs framed explicitly as among their last. The weight of that finality hangs over every performance. We would love to know where you are watching from tonight. Drop a comment and let us know where you are tuning in, and tell us which of these legends means the most to you.
Well, calm and feel, now all I can say is I threw it all away.
Number 5. Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart survived a serious bout with thyroid cancer in the late 90s and was understandably private about it for years before going public with his story. The illness and treatment left a mark on the distinctive rasp that built his career across 5 decades of hits. His voice now occupies a different sonic space than it did on Maggie May or Tonight's the Night. To his enormous credit, Stewart has never stopped performing. He tours relentlessly, sells out arenas, and still commands enormous affection from audiences everywhere. But the gap between the raw, gritty instrument of his peak years and what audiences hear today is significant enough to notice. There is something both admirable and bittersweet about watching a man perform this tirelessly into his late 70s, knowing what his voice once was capable of. Number 4. Don Henley.
Welcome to the Hotel California.
The Eagles have been among the most consistently successful touring acts in American rock history, and Don Henley's voice has been the anchor of that legacy for more than 50 years. Hotel California, Desperado, The Boys of Summer, all of them rest on a vocal instrument of considerable power and precision. In his early years, Henley's voice had a controlled intensity that few could match. Live performances in recent years have made clear that the instrument has aged, sometimes significantly, on particular nights. The tone has thinned in spots. The emotional reach that defined his studio recordings does not always translate to the arena setting in the same way it once did. Henley himself rarely acknowledges the change publicly, which is his right. But longtime fans sitting in those arenas hear it, and many of them have started to wonder how many more tours are really the right call. The Eagles' 2023 Hotel California 50th anniversary tour grossed over $200 million, proof that the demand is still overwhelming even as the delivery has shifted beneath it.
It seems to me some fine things have been laid upon.
Number 3. Mick Jagger. In March of 2019, Mick Jagger underwent heart valve surgery that briefly paused the Rolling Stones' No Filter tour and sent a shudder through the rock world. He was in his mid-70s. The surgery was serious. The recovery was faster than almost anyone expected, and within weeks he was photographed rehearsing dance routines that would exhaust performers half his age. That resilience is genuinely astonishing, and no reasonable observer can deny it. But Jagger and the Stones continue to tour at an intensity that raises honest questions about what the human body can sustainably sustain at 80 years old. His voice remains in better shape than most on this list. His energy on stage still defies biology. The concern is not about his talent. It is about the sheer relentlessness of a schedule that never seems to slow, even after a cardiac event that would have retired most people permanently. The Stones released a new studio album, Hackney Diamonds, in October 2023, their first collection of original songs in 18 years, and immediately paired it with another major touring commitment, showing no sign of recalibrating the pace even 1 degree. Number 2. David Lee Roth. In late 2022, David Lee Roth announced that he was retiring from the music business entirely. The announcement came alongside a residency run in Las Vegas that served as his formal farewell, and Roth was characteristically theatrical about the whole affair, calling it the end of an era with the kind of theatrical swagger that only he could deliver. But retirement for a frontman of Roth's ego and energy is rarely a clean line. The voice that powered Van Halen's greatest early records had faded considerably by the time the Vegas shows arrived. Watching a man who once leapt across stages with acrobatic abandon navigate the physical realities of his 60s was a study in contrasts. Roth gave everything he had to that final run. The music he made in his prime will outlast any farewell performance. Letting go was probably the right call. Number 1. Gene Simmons. Kiss spent years building toward the most elaborately staged farewell in rock history. Their end-of-the-road world tour, which launched in 2019 and stretched across multiple years, including pandemic delays, was a monument to the band's commitment to spectacle. Fire, blood, platforms, makeup, full theatrical chaos, right to the very end. Gene Simmons fronted that farewell with the same bombastic energy he has brought to every stage since the early 1970s. The voice has aged. The movement is more deliberate than it once was. But something about watching Simmons and Paul Stanley finally genuinely close the book on a 50-year run carries a warmth that the others on this list have not quite reached yet. Their final concert took place in New York City on December 2, 2023 at Madison Square Garden, the same city where Kiss played their very first show in January of 1973, a full circle that 50 years in the making. Kiss understood when their moment had arrived. They built a celebration out of it rather than a reluctant retreat. That, perhaps more than anything else, is how a rock legend is supposed to say goodbye.